Let's just say this for the record. We don't hate jobs, corporate America, or working, but there's a reason why so many people define it as soul-crushing. When it's all said and done, our stance is this. Some jobs are good, but all jobs are temporary.
Because of this, we should be careful of assigning so much virtue into systems and institutions that hold so much power over us. Conversely, if your true passion is to be an entrepreneur, we should also be mindful of the realities of that trade-off. When it's all said and done, there are far more than two paths to take to financial freedom, and there are more meaningful rewards to achieve than money.
Now, I find more fulfillment in my work because I have the fortunate opportunity to make money, basically to learn, and which is something I really enjoy doing. I like to understand these concepts and the way the world works and the weirdness of the financial system. Like the fact that I'm like, oh, if I spend an hour or 2 hours today reading up on something, that's technically work. Whereas before I was just doing it for, on my free time on the weekends and nights, trying to, get myself prepped and ready.
I think even when I left the job, I had this full speech and I was like, I don't even feel like I'm leaving or quitting. I feel like it was a retirement, because a retirement, they're giving you something and you're giving them something and they're giving you something. You're kind of meeting in the middle at this point. And I gave them 9 years. They gave me the youngest. They gave me everything I wanted in Dallas and the unlimited PTO and all of that stuff. And it just got to the point where I just wasn't fulfilled anymore. And they even said, what else do you want? And they were asking me, and I was like, I don't think there's anything that you guys could do in terms of salary, in terms of time off, in terms of anything. It's just something I need to do for myself.
Whereas before, the work I was doing, it was like I felt like I was working extremely hard to help this organization kind of make the people who lived in this area maintain their level of wealth, essentially. Yeah. And there was something kind of unsatisfying about it because it just wasn't fulfilling. Like, again, I love the people I work with, never had an issue with anyone, but it was like the work I was doing, it became so routine and mundane after a while to where I just was like, you just lose something, right? Like you lose that bit of, fulfillment out of that work to where it becomes just a job. Whereas now it's like, oh, wow, this is, when I get a message from someone, they say, that really helped me, or I really appreciate that information, or I did this because I listened to this episode. It catches me off guard every time because I'm like, oh, I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it. But then to see that it actually impacted someone, that is a level of fulfillment that I never got from my day job.
Yeah, there's so much. We have this theory of employment really just being a subsidy in your life. Like there's so much that a corporate office or an office setting or a workplace does on your behalf as an adult so that you stop doing it. And you kind of, that part of your brain kind of like goes to mush because it's already being fulfilled by this corporation, this organization, and they spend a lot of money to do that. And you mentioned earlier a couple of things. The first was just being paid to learn, which I think is just like, that should be the new definition of self-employment, because it's a paradigm shift that so many people need because they're suffering under the weight of constantly paying other people to learn. And so we have these student debt crisis. We have all these people, throwing money at an issue versus accepting that self-employment is really just a matter of being paid to learn what works and what doesn't. And there's a whole lot of what doesn't, but ultimately the stuff that works is your business model.
I don't think entrepreneurship is for everyone, but I do think everyone should do something outside their jobs, like make money outside their jobs. And I think that's one thing we always preach and always push, because even when we had our cleaning business outside of our job, we still called it a side hustle. We only stopped calling it a side hustle when it's our full-time income. So I think everyone should have something outside their jobs just to kind of get them comfortable with, all right, I can make money outside of my job. It's not as scary as it seems. And then it doesn't have to be, we started with just wanting to pay one bill. We said you could pay a light bill outside your job. You pay your gym membership, and then it turns into the car note, and then it could eventually turn into your mortgage or your rent payment. So that's one thing I think everyone needs to do. If you're not going to be an entrepreneur, which is totally fine, but at least start something outside your jobs that could potentially build up to something but you won't know until you at least try it.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Cashing Out the Podcast. To see more videos like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to turn on your notifications. To get your copy of Cashing Out the book, visit Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore, or download the audiobook on Audible.